So, we used to sing for the Lord first before we do Bhagavatam. So, but due to Parth's schedule today, we're going to do Bhagavatam first, and then we'll sing to the Lord after. Hopefully the Lord is not upset with that arrangement. We were talking about in the Bhagavatam yesterday, only did one verse, but it was kind of pretty comprehensive subject matter, coupled with Parth's question about the need to try to control the senses. This is one way, and this is like the Ashtanga yoga practice, or even Jnana yoga. You might know that you need to control the senses, this will make you happy and all these things. But actually the real issue at hand is that there's not a better engagement for the senses. So the senses are gravitating towards base or lower pleasures due to their lack of engagement in something higher. And so we talked about very comprehensively how if we can, I don't know if I can talk personally on anything very comprehensively, but we talked a bit more comprehensively than usual on how important it is to be engaged in these higher activities, so that the lower activities, as a byproduct, they're not tasteful at all. Just in the example is given, when you eat really, really nice food stuff, you're not interested in the canned and store-bought, or already prepared microwaved freezer foods and things like this, because you're used to a higher taste already and you're not interested in lower tastes. So similarly, when you get accustomed and actually taste these the activities of service to the Lord, these lower tastes are not attractive. And you can see this by associating with devotees who have achieved this state. They're not at all attractive to material activities. And if you, by chance, are still, not by chance, if by certainty, are still attracted to material activities, we must understand it's because we really haven't had a great taste as of yet. We haven't really achieved any really good taste to be attracted to material activities. Like a hungry person, he's not yet eaten. If he's eaten, he won't be hungry. So similarly, one who has a taste for material sense pleasures he's not been satisfied as of yet. And then we know, at least philosophically, the only thing that can satisfy us is devotional life. We intellectually know this, but have we actually realized? Most likely not, if we've not achieved, if we still have taste for material things, and we actually haven't really realized yet. We haven't really tasted much. We haven't really eaten, this thing. Or you would not be hungry for other things. So, but if you're hungry for other things, which is normal, as for a unfortunate conditioned soul who has fallen in this horrible ocean of material existence, then you should hopefully beg, like our Shikshastika verse this morning, to be situated as and considered as a mere particle of dust at the feet of the Lord, and to be engaged in His service in some small way, and to actually taste it. But this can only be done by serving under those who have a taste already. And then they can reveal to you how they've developed their taste, and you also will develop a taste. So, very nice verse we talked about yesterday, how self-controlled persons who are attached to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind, and go away to attain the highest perfection of the renounced order of life, by which non-violence and renunciation are consequential. So, very good. We have Craig join us today. So, okay. I think what we'll do now are, maybe we'll chant our invocation prayers. Hare Krishna, Craig. Okay. What did you say?
balmy out.
Bonnie, you said?
Balmy. You know, balmy, hot.
No, I've never. That's not a word I've ever really heard before. Yeah.
Were your parents right? I would think.
No. My parents don't have such a elaborate vocabulary. So.
You've never heard that term? It's balmy out.
Balmy,
It's
like
hot.
B-A-L-M?
Yeah, it's like it's hot, humid.
It's hot out. Oh, it's sarcasm.
Yes.
Okay. I see. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's not.
Well, that was
No
my weak attempt.
Yes,
Cool.
balmy. Very nice. You have too nice a vocabulary for me to have been able to get your joke.
Well, it's age to it.
Yeah.
Certain sayings.
If you stay and do the class, you can catch a ride in this very cold day. This would be very.
Yeah, you want to ride?
Very good arrangement.
Yeah, I have some urgent work.
Yeah. Okay. No problem. So.
It's like 3 degrees out. So.
It's very, very cool. But, no problem. We'll figure it out. Let's chant our Mangala Charana verses. Did you share it?
Yes.
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातं सगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सगणललिता हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृन्द हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमो विष्णु पुष्पपाद कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे.
So, Craig, you missed it, but yesterday and I just kind of recapped it, but yesterday we had a really, really nice verse in subject matter, how self-controlled persons who are attached to the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment, including the gross body and subtle mind, and go away to attain the highest perfection of the renounced order of life, by which non-violence and renunciation are consequential. And Prabhupada very, very comprehensively gets into how to attain such a state, and how for the devotee it's actually very easy, because the devotee has developed a higher taste for spiritual activities, so by nature they're renounced from material activities. Like a person who's eaten food, who's full, they're renounced from trying to eat many things. They're already full. So similarly, and Parth had a nice question. Well, what kind of endeavors should we make to control our senses? And the conclusion was what Prabhupada was saying, that the endeavor should not be on trying to artificially control one's senses. The endeavor should be to become more engaged in a higher pleasure, a higher taste, that naturally the lower tastes aren't attractive to one at all, because you're already full, you're already nourished. So we were talking about that yesterday, and it's really nice, and we were giving some examples how in our life, how over time we become more and more renounced from certain material activities because we've developed a higher taste. And so, so over time, this process is very potent in doing so. And then...
I remember seeing a video of Prabhupada talking about this and saying that, don't give up this, give up that, give up this. Take up Krishna consciousness.
Exactly.
And those things will eventually just go away.
Exactly. So this is the whole point here, and the name of the game, you should say, is to try to be more Krishna conscious, that do more Krishna conscious activities, and by nature, naturally, things that you might wonder, I don't know how I can give this up, will just fall away. At some point, the taste for the higher thing will be settled in, and then you'll be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not interested. And it's amazing how I remember you might have met him before. Yashoda Dalal. You met Yashoda Dalal? See, I remember Yashoda Dalal was counseling my wife and I when we first got married, and he was like, in the beginning, all the physical elements, are going to be very strong in the relationship, but you just keep practicing Krishna consciousness and they'll just go away on their own. And I was just thinking at the time, like, not going to happen, like this is, we're really deeply implicated here. And he's right. He was right, actually, because over the years in maturation in Krishna consciousness, just that whole element of life, and now throw Abhiram into the equation, and his my wife's body, which I once looked at in such a way, now I see as like his cafeteria, and I'm just like, you know what? I don't know why I was so like illusioned by this thing, So anyhow, but this is I've experienced this actually. What he's saying in this verse. So Sutta Goswami is getting ready to recite the Bhagavatam, but he's glorifying the Lord. And he started with glorifying how all the other demigods are worshipping the Lord, including Lakshmi. Everyone's chasing the blessings of Lakshmi, but she's worshipping the Lord. And the Brahma and Shiva, the topmost demigods in the universe, they're also worshipping the Supreme Lord. And now it's talking about how self-controlled persons who've achieved the highest pinnacles of self-control, they're also attached to the Supreme Lord. That's how they achieved that state in the first place. So any qualified personality, they're worshiping the Supreme Lord. So if we ourselves also want to make advancement in any aspect of life, we too should worship the Lord. So let's read. Maybe Madhav, you can go on to the next portion here. Ahang hi prishtor yamano bhavadbir achaksha atma bhagamotra yavan nabha patantyatma samang patatrinas tatha samang vishnu gating vipaschitaha. Okay, aham, my humble self, he, certainly, Prishta, asked by you, Aryamana, as powerful as the sun, Bhavadbi, by you, Achakshe, may describe, Atma Avagama, as far as my knowledge is concerned, Atra, herein, Yavan, so far, Nabha, sky, Patanti, fly, Atma Samam, as far as it can, Patatrina, the birds, Tatha, thus, Samam, similarly, Vishnu Gatim, knowledge of Vishnu, Vipashita, even though learned. O Rishis, who are as powerfully pure as the sun, I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu, as far as my knowledge is concerned. As the birds fly in the sky as far as their capacity allows, so do the learned devotees describe the Lord as far as their realization allows. So this is a really nice analogy. As far as the birds fly in the sky, as far as their capacity allows. Like some birds, they fly low, and that's their capacity. Eagles are renowned for being able to fly incredibly high, and they're known as a very qualified bird. So some birds can fly higher and higher, but they have their limit, and if you go up in an airplane, there's no birds up there in the airplane, at the pinnacles, because that's far. And you could see there's an infinite amount of sky to go, even where you are in the airplane. So this is the devotee. All they can do is give you but a drop of the Lord's glories. The Lord's glories can only be given in a drop. Well, let's hear the purport. The Supreme Absolute Truth is unlimited. No living being can know about the unlimited by his limited capacity. The Lord is impersonal, personal, and localized. By his impersonal feature, he is all-pervading Brahman. By his localized feature, he is present in everyone's heart as the Supreme Soul. And by his ultimate personal feature, he is the object of transcendental loving service by his fortunate associates, the pure devotees. The pastimes of the Lord in different features can only be estimated partly by the great learned devotees. So Srila Sutta Goswami has rightly taken this position in describing the pastimes of the Lord as far as he has realized. Factually, only the Lord himself can describe himself, and his learned devotee also can describe him, as far as the Lord gives him the power of description. So it's reminding me of there's a very nice pastime in Chaitanya Charitamrita where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very comprehensively explains the rasas of service to Krishna, and he explains in a very detailed way to Rupa Goswami about how all the different types of devotees serve Krishna and what service to Krishna is like and all the different semantics. And then at the end of it he says, but I've only given you a drop. There's an infinite ocean here and I've given you only a drop. And then Rupa Goswami, he composes on that information the entire Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which we know now in Prabhupada's English commentary as the Nectar of Devotion. But that whole thing, which is very comprehensive if you go through it, is only one but a drop, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. And this is what we should understand. I might have told the pastime of Ananta Shesh, where he's one of the expansions of Balaram in universal creation and maintenance. And his job is to support the universe. So all the demigods were given their delegations by Vishnu, by the Lord, but Ananta, but they were all given some vacation. They had some break, but everyone got a vacation except Ananta. So Ananta, he said to Vishnu, "How come I do not get a vacation?" And he said, "Okay, you can have a vacation, and you can actually stop your service forever once you finish your task. So I have a task for you, and then you finish the task, and then you can have vacation." So do you know the task he was given?
Something that could never finish, right?
Yes, something that can never be finished. And the task was, I want you to recite about my names, forms, pastimes, and glories. Just recite, and once you have mystic abilities, you can manifest thousands of heads and thousands of tongues, and you can finish very quickly. For us, we can, we take, we have one head, one tongue, we chant one Maha Mantra, maybe we chant one round 108 times, and it takes us maybe 5 to 10 minutes. But for Ananta, it would take a tenth of a second, because he has thousands of heads, to chant one round of Maha Mantra. So think about how much he can do. But because what he ended up realizing, because the glories of the Lord are unlimited, there is no end to the glories of the Lord, he's still engaged currently. That's his forever engagement. But also Krishna gave him a great benediction to never give him a vacation, because when one engages in this activity, in glorifying the Lord, which is the main activity for the age, is Sankirtan, It's so relishable, it's so enjoyable. There's no need for a vacation, because it's just, this is the enjoyable activity. This is the enjoyable activity of the age. It's glorifying the Lord. And that's what kirtan is. It's not necessarily singing. Kirtan is glorification of the Lord. So, this is very nice, because this is what devotees do. They try to glorify to the Lord to the best that their realization allows for. But, like here, I'm a small sparrow. I cannot fly very high. Maybe I can get up to the top of the trees or something like that. Or maybe I'm a duck. Ducks can fly not that high, but they can fly. So I can glorify the Lord to the best of my ability. And then there's many other greater devotees, and ravens and eagles and falcons, and they can fly very high. But still, there's no end to what they're trying to do. But the enjoyment, the flying activity of glorifying the Lord is so relishable, it doesn't matter where you're at. You just keep going, and you keep trying to fly higher and higher, and you can do so for eternity. That's like Ananta Shesh. Has no vacation, but he doesn't need one, and he realizes now he's got a good arrangement. He gets to just glorify the Lord for eternity. And this is a good arrangement. This is actually the activity of the devotee. They're always trying to glorify the Lord. Whatever they have heard, and then they share. How can I glorify the Lord further? And you realize the real pleasure is coming when in your activities of glorification for the Lord. Like right now, Madhav is getting, and Parth, both of you, you're serious in your relationships, which is very good. You should be very committed and serious in your relationships. And I also myself, when I found my wife, was very serious and committed in my relationships. And but because I didn't want to have like a mundane relationship. I wanted, we wanted to be engaged in bhakti in some way. Naturally you have to teach them many things. Especially, it depends. I mean, sometimes the lady is the one who's first engaged in devotional service, and she can cultivate the man as she. But usually, in at least our cases with the man, we went first in devotional service, and by just associating, one of the things that I personally took great pleasure in my relationship is being able to having someone willing to listen to my ability to glorify the Lord. And that was actually very attractive to me, that someone's just willing to hear and respect me enough to let me glorify the Lord. And that actually became a really, really attractive thing. And then over time, by having success with my wife actually taking to Krishna consciousness, then she supported me in trying to expand that vision in my life, where, I was sharing these things at the yoga classes, but she was like the main person who took it at the yoga class. But there were some others who took it. But then over the years, we started programs in that area, and more people were taking. And being able to, whatever little I could share about the Lord. And then over the years, then it came here to Syracuse and all these things. But you guys too, and maybe you just start in your own home, with your own, your own partner. And just do this activity of just glorifying the Lord. And then you'll see how that expands, and you'll see how it becomes intoxicating. And then you just say, oh man, this is great. I have to do this more often now. I have to figure out a way where I can. And anyone who's practiced this for some time, you get an opportunity to glorify the Lord and share something with someone that's beneficial for them. And by the service and seeing how much that helps that person, you just feel like, wow, that was great. I can't wait to do that again. And so eventually a taste will come, and you'll just keep doing it. You'll keep trying to create situations where you can share. But this is the activity of devotees. So Sutta Goswami, by great fortune, he's now going to share everything he knows. His life was made for this, to re-recite the Bhagavatam to all the sages at Naimisharanya. So, ekada danar udyamya vicharan mrigayang vane mrigan anugata shrantaha Kshuritas Trishito Brisham Jalashayama Chakshana Pravivesha Tam Ashramam Dadarsha Munimasinam Shantang Milita Lochanam Ekada, once upon a time. Danu, arrows and bow. Udyamya, taking firmly. Vicharan, following. Mrigayam, hunting excursion. Vane, in the forest. Mrigan, stags. Anugata, while following. Shranta, fatigued. Kshurita, hungry. Trishita, being thirsty. Brisham, extremely. Jala Ashayam, reservoir of water. Achakshana, while searching for. Pravivesha, entered into. Tam, that famous. Ashramam, hermitage of Shamikarishi. That's the name of our Guru Maharaj, by the way. Dadarsha, saw. Munim, the sage. Asinam, seated. Shantam, all silent. Milita, closed. Lochanam, eyes. Just because I saw the name of our Guru Maharaj, I do want to let you guys know so you can plan. He is coming here Saturday night. We'll be giving the Sunday program.
Tomorrow?
That is tomorrow, isn't it? Tomorrow night. Oh my gosh.
I got stuff.
Well, he's not coming for tomorrow night. He's doing Sunday program and Monday, Tuesday Bhagavatam.
Oh,
So
very nice.
yeah, so that'll be a good opportunity for everyone. So he's coming tomorrow night. It's very
So
soon.
he's doing better then.
Good enough where he wanted to travel. He just got released from the hospital a few days back, and he immediately wanted to travel and come here and do other activities. So yes. So yeah, if you could prioritize those days, it would be very beneficial. I feel like. That's just one thing. And then, but as far as this now we're getting into the pastime of Maharaj Parikshit, how he got cursed and how he had the Bhagavatam recited to him. All these things wanted to be known by the sages, and now we're going to be known to us. Once upon a time, Maharaj Parikshit, while engaged in hunting in the forest with bow and arrows, became extremely fatigued, hungry and thirsty while following the stags. While searching for a reservoir of water, he entered the hermitage of the well-known Shamikarishi and saw the sage sitting silently with closed eyes. Purport. The Supreme Lord is so kind to his pure devotees that in proper time he calls such devotees up to him and thus creates an auspicious circumstance for the devotee. Maharaj Parikshit was a pure devotee of the Lord, and there was no reason for him to become extremely fatigued, hungry, and thirsty, because a devotee of the Lord never becomes perturbed by such bodily demands. But by the desire of the Lord, even such a devotee can become apparently fatigued and thirsty, just to create a situation favorable for his renunciation of worldly activities. So, pure devotees of the Lord are not overcome by the lower modes of material nature. And Maharaj Parikshit was such a devotee. But if the Lord desires something, some tribulation or some activity in the world to happen through the instrument of the devotee, he will create a situation where, like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, where he becomes overcome by weakness and doesn't know his duty. And then, because Krishna wants to recite Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna wants something to happen here and to create a situation favorable for his renunciation of worldly activities. So one has to give up all attachment for worldly relations before one is able to go back to Godhead. And thus when a devotee is too much absorbed in worldly affairs, the Lord creates a situation to cause indifference. The Supreme Lord never forgets his pure devotee, even though he may be engaged in so-called worldly affairs. I actually personally felt this touch of the Lord this year, because I can just give an example in my life. For some years, I was very, I was very cautious spending money. Very cautious spending money and only, getting bare necessities, and almost to the point where it was like, even unhealthy, like just too much on the saving end of things. But the Lord created a situation personally in my life this year where I lost a good amount of money. But it's amazing, by this losing of the money, it created this indifference in me to the whole idea of saving it in the first place, and this whole idea of, all this time and energy to try and save and do all these things for what, So it actually created an indifference, and actually that's been my personal experience. And my wife actually, even though she was not happy with me for losing the money, but she was noticed ever since I lost the money, I just was like, you know what, I'm so used to losing money, and now I don't care. Whatever you need, fine, go for it. So I'm just so used to it now. Just go ahead. But actually, this is actually the why Krishna does what he does. Why, and especially it's beneficial for the devotee to be forced into situations where he has to give up his material attachments. So it's Krishna's great benediction to you, even though it might seem, no one wants to go through these calamities. So anyhow, the Supreme Lord never forgets his pure devotee, even though he may be engaged in so-called worldly affairs. Sometimes he creates an awkward situation, and the devotee becomes obliged to renounce all worldly affairs. The devotee can understand by the signal of the Lord, but others take it to be unfavorable and frustrating. So this is the difference when difficulties come. The devotee, he sees it, this is the signal of the Lord. And everyone else, they get frustrated and see it as unfavorable. Oh, how could this happen? So this is, this is the difference. The devotee, he takes a hint from the Lord. All right, what meaning is there in this? Why would you do this thing? What do you want me to learn here? But everyone else is like, oh, God, like this. So Maharaj Parikshit was to become the medium for the revelation of Srimad Bhagavatam by Lord Sri Krishna, as his grandfather Arjuna was the medium for the Bhagavad Gita. Had Arjuna not been taken up with an illusion of family affection by the will of the Lord, the Bhagavad Gita would not have been spoken by the Lord himself for the good of all concerned. Similarly, had Maharaj Parikshit not been fatigued, hungry and thirsty at this time, Srimad Bhagavatam would not have been spoken by Srila Shukadeva Goswami, the prime authority of Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a prelude to the circumstances under which Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken for the benefit of all concerned. The prelude therefore begins with the words, once upon a time, which is Ekada, Ekada. Ekada means once upon a time. Yes. So now the story is being told, and Maharaj Parikshit, he found himself in a bewildered situation where he was greatly hungry and thirsty. Actually, it's really interesting because you're going to see he's going to make an offense due to his hunger and his thirst. But interestingly, there comes a point in the Srimad Bhagavatam where Shukadeva Goswami goes through the first 9 cantos, and at the end of the 9th canto, he talks about Krishna very briefly, and then he just moves on. But Maharaj Parikshit was like, wait a second, I want to hear more about Krishna. Why would you just brush past Krishna like that? Why would you only leave a few words for Krishna? I want to hear more about the glories of Krishna. And he says, Maharaj Parikshit, it's been many days we've been reciting here now. It's been like 4 days. And you haven't touched any water. You haven't had any food. You should take some rest and rest up, and then I'll tell you more about things. And then Maharaj Parikshit, he refers to this time. He said, by my hunger and my thirst, I made a great offense to the Lord that got me in this predicament in the first place. I want to hear about Krishna. This is the real nourishment. And then Shukadeva Goswami, he was testing him. He was very, very pleased by this. And he continued reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam. Because, there may be so many considerations we have in our life, but if we really, really, really want to get the juice, the nectar of the Lord, we'll put every material consideration to the side, including hunger and thirst, and we'll go for it. And the Lord will test us. How bad do you really want it? And Maharaj Parikshit, he was tested by Shukadeva Goswami. He said, okay, you can have Krishna, he was pretty good. He did this, this, and this. And then he just brushed on like one verse. Imagine the 1/4 of the Srimad Bhagavatam is about the pastimes of Krishna. And he just summed it up in one verse. So they're just, so Maharaj Parikshit, he couldn't tolerate this. But he referred to this by him being overcome by hunger and thirst, how it had given him such a bad result. He says, I don't want to even make these considerations at all. I just want to hear the best thing. I want to hear about the pastimes of the Lord. So these are some considerations you can have in your life. How no matter the material situation, if you neglect the Lord, this is totally against your best interest. But most of us, we have so many material considerations that cause us to neglect the Lord. And everyone can scan your own life and see what those might be. So anyway, one last verse. Pratirudendriya prana mano buddhim uparatam stanatrayat parang praptang brahma bhutam avikriyam. Pratirudha, restrained. Indriya, the sense organs. Prana, air, respiration. Mana, the mind. Buddhim, intelligence. Uparatam, inactive. Sthana, places. Trayat, from the three. Param, transcendental. Praptam, achieved. Brahmabhutam, qualitatively equal with the Supreme Absolute. Avikriyam, unaffected. The Muni's sense organs, breath, mind, and intelligence were all restrained from material activities, and he was situated in a trance apart from the three, wakefulness, dream, and apart from the three material activities, which are wakefulness, dream state, and unconscious state. Having achieved a transcendental position qualitatively equal with the Supreme Absolute. It appears that the Muni in whose hermitage the king entered was in a yogic trance. The transcendental position is attained by three processes, namely the process of jnana, or theoretical knowledge of transcendence, the process of yoga, or factual realization of trance by manipulation of the physiological and psychological functions of the body, and the most approved process of bhakti yoga, or the engagement of senses in the devotional service of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita also we have the information of the gradual development of perception from matter to a living entity. Did he spit up? Yeah. Great. Nice. So, so gradual development of perception from matter to a living entity. Our material mind and body develop from the living entity, the soul, and being influenced by the three qualities of matter, we forget our real identity. That's the unfortunate thing happening here. The jnana process theoretically speculates about the reality of the soul, but Bhakti Yoga factually engages the spirit soul in activities. The perception of matter is transcended to still subtler states of the senses. The senses are transcended to the subtler mind, and then to breathing activities, and gradually to intelligence. And beyond the intelligence, the living soul is realized by the mechanical activities of the yoga system, or practice of meditation restraining the senses, regulating the breathing system, and applying intelligence to rise to the transcendental position. This trance stops all material activities of the body. The king saw the Muni in that position. He also saw the Muni as follows. So, this is a really nice... Prabhupada kind of describes the yoga process here. The perception of matter, right now what's happening is due to our material mind and body, the living entity becomes ignorant to who we really are and what's really important, and we focus on the dead matter of this world. But by different processes of yoga, you can actually transcend this misidentification and attraction for all of this around us. And so the perception, first you have to, if you can, that's why Krishna, the first thing he does in Bhagavad Gita is he gives the perception of matter and spirit. He makes the distinguishment, Sankhya Yoga. He makes very clearly, very quickly, all right, this is eternal and this is temporary. Temporary, there is no lasting anything to it. It's not worth pursuing. And eternality, this is what's eternal and this is what should be pursued. So then, by understanding that thing, you can come to the perception of matter is transcended to still subtler states of the senses, where you can understand what's happening on a sensory level. Oh, these are just the body's senses engaging with the world. This isn't actually the summum bonum essence of life. So then the senses will be transcended to the subtler mind. You'll start to understand how the mind is being manipulated by the senses and being driven by the senses and pulled like the horses on reins of the senses. And by actually understanding what's happening here, you can come to even finer states of the intelligence, and you can see how through the intelligence the mind can be guided properly. And so this is what the yoga process is, and this is why Krishna says in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita that the mind, the uncontrolled mind, is the living entity's worst enemy, but the controlled mind is the living entity's best friend. And so you may take to some processes of meditation to try and control the mind and engage the mind in intelligence and in realization. And so then from there, beyond the intelligence, the living soul is realized by the mechanical activities of the yoga system, or practice of meditation by restraining the senses. So if you can, by engaging the intelligence and understanding the higher nature of the living entity that's even transcendental to the intelligence, you can actually, it's only theoretical to me, but you can actually realize the soul, you can realize the spirit, and actually live by the spirit. And this ultimately, well, let's see what he says here. Beyond the intelligence, the living soul is realized by the mechanical activities of the yoga system, or the practice of meditation, restraining the senses, regulating the breathing system, and implying intelligence to rise to the transcendental position. So this is ultimately, even ourselves, when we sit and chant japa, this is actually kind of a part of the japa process. You have to you have to restrain the senses. You're not engaging the senses in all kinds of things. You're regulating the breathing and the chanting happening in your body. You're just sitting and chanting one mantra, and the regulation of the breath will automatically happen in that. And then understanding the meaning of the mantra is implying the intelligence to rise to the transcendental position. Radha and Krishna, please engage me in your service. I understand I'm in a fallen condition here. Please situate me and consider me a particle at your feet. Please, and you call out to them, and then you can actually, through this process, we can realize more and more our transcendental position. And this is can be understood. This is called Swarup Siddhi, or the perfection of understanding one's real spiritual form. So this is, but this can happen through the bhakti yoga process as well. But Shamika Rishi here is, he's seen as a yogi practicing the yoga. And even we can learn a lot from the yogis in how we do our sadhana, how the yogis do sadhana when we sit and chant and like this. We can learn a lot from the yogis, how they control the senses, how they are engaging now the intelligence towards the higher destination. But the senses and mind have to be controlled. So this trance stops all material activities of the body. The king saw the Muni in that position, and he saw the Muni as follows. So what will happen is one actually gets in a spiritual trance, all of the other activities of the body. And this isn't uncommon for, who was it? I think it was Srinivasacharya. I'm forgetting who it was, but one of our great acharyas, he went into, I think it was Srinivasacharya, he went into an ecstatic trance in his chanting, and he was engaged in Radha and Krishna's pastimes. And so no one knew what to do, because it was like this for days. He's in this trance for days. And so no one could arouse him from this trance. And so finally, one of his disciples, Ramachandra Kaviraj, he sat down and he said, okay, if he won't come out, I will have to go in and I'll have to bring him out. And so he sat down in trance, and he also entered this trance, and he also entered into the pastimes. And he saw, I think it was Srinivasacharya, but he saw him in his spiritual form in Vrindavan. I don't want to tip it off, because if anyone's listening, they might not understand what that spiritual form would be like. But anyway, they saw him in his spiritual form, and he saw him. He was engaged in serving Radharani and Krishna, which is why he did not come out. He was trying very hard to finish the service for them. So Ramachandra Kaviraj, also in his spiritual form, went and greeted with him and helped him finish the service for Radha and Krishna, and then they both came out together of this trance. So, but this is actually, it's all theoretical for us right now, or we can only hear about it. But when we sit and we do sadhana or bhajan, this is actually the fruits of bhajan, that you're actually engaged. This is actually the fruits of bhajan in deity worship, where all the mantras we're chanting, everything that we're doing, the offering of the arati, there's actually something in trance that is supposed to be done. These are all just mechanisms, like the yoga system, to perceive the finer, subtler spiritual thing. So this is actually, this is what's supposed to happen. Right now we're in sadhana bhakti, where we're just practicing some of the right activities, so that maybe one day we can actually transcend these lower modes of nature. And starting first with the senses. You know, the senses are the most base, and engagement of the senses is our great obstacle. But once we come by the mind and realize that the mind, it's just the mind that's dictating the senses to go over here. The senses are what's pulling the mind, but if you can start to control the mind through the intelligence, and then you could guide the intelligence upwards towards the transcendental position, you could be fixed above these lower modes which are causing us so much suffering and problems in the material world. So anyway, this is the yoga process. So Prabhupada is talking really nicely about this, and how bhakti yoga actually, through the use of intelligence, this Buddha yoga, you're directing the body and the senses in activities that are aligning in trance with one's spiritual perfection, one's spiritual activity. And this is, again, called like Swarup Siddha Bhakti. Very high. But you can know the goal, and you can see how in your life you can work towards that, but the main thing is you have to find somebody who's advanced in this, and they can show you the ropes. But you can get a lot from what these personalities have already shared to us. We all have contact with advanced personalities who are realized. So anyhow, these are some things. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki
Jai.
Jai. So
Thank you for that class.
thank Srila Prabhupada for putting such nice commentary and giving Bhagavatam. I'm just fortunate that I get to do my job of glorifying the Lord, and at least a few people will come and allow me to, because I wouldn't be so inspired to just do it for my wife and Aviram. But
It's interesting. I saw another thing of Prabhupada saying, he's talking about initiation.
yes,
That initiation is just a formality.
yes,
He says real initiation is seeking Krishna out, being enthused about, trying to understand and all that.
yeah. Well, this is, the initiation is but a formality, but that real initiation is
I mean, I don't
that.
say it obviously as nice as he does.
Yeah.
It was interesting to hear.
Yeah, well, it's true actually, because even one time I was hearing from Prem Prayojan not that long ago, a few months back, and he in his lecture he said that his guru told him that I have thousands of disciples, but real initiation is in the heart, and only maybe 2 or 4 have taken real initiation. And so, but that's, that's a heavy thing, to really deeply in the heart. And even look at all the disciples of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. I mean, I'm sure many did take real initiation, but the whole movement kind of fell apart after he left the world in many ways. But it was Srila Prabhupada who, in his heart, was fully convinced and fully determined to serve his guru. And he had, obviously was someone who took real initiation, and look what he did based on that, that real initiation that happened in the heart. And Prabhupada, even when he talks about meeting Bhaktisiddhanta, he said he took initiation maybe 11 years later, but he said that first day, in the heart, he conquered my heart. And so, Real initiation is in the heart. It's
I have a question for you. There's something that, I don't know if you can even answer it, but based on something you read the other day, and I've heard it several times before, that, there never was a time that we didn't, you or nor I
Yes.
didn't exist, and there never will be. So what's happened, because Krishna is infinite,
yes.
what's happened to us all this time prior, and I don't mean just the last couple of 100 years, but, millions of years, where we, because we're part and parcel of Krishna, was that our existence, but were we not individuals yet? Because I had heard somewhere where there actually is a birth of the soul, the individual soul.
So there is no birth of the individual soul. That you have always.
Because actually it's something that Prabhupada said.
Yeah, as far as.
In other words, to be able to be whole, part of the Chitta-Veda Tattva.
Yeah.
Because at the time of,
So as far as I've heard,
I mean, this one,
because this is
your
like,
brain trying
this is called the fall of the jiva. This is a very big subject with devotees. But when did the jiva fall? When did it come into this material world? That's one thing. But then there's the other element. Well, when did the jiva even come into existence? But if the jiva is transcendental to time, which is described, there could be no coming into existence.
I know.
Yeah, so it's hard
It's
to.
almost like a paradox.
Yeah, well, the thing is, the problem is we are observing the world with materialist senses, which are conditioned by time, and everything here, and everything that in relation to how we think and perceive things, has to do with there is a beginning, a middle, and an end to something.
Right.
But we can't even fathom the absolute reality, which is transcendental to that. So if we
Because there's no beginning around, then there is no middle.
yeah. So there is just an eternal. All it is the middle. All it is like the eternal present. But
Sometimes I just ponder some of those.
Yeah.
Things, trying to understand. I get to a point though where it's like, okay, I just can't.
Yeah, that's the problem with the jnana process or the mental speculation. It just has no definitive answer. All it could be, the only end you can reach is like, all right, well, this is my speculation, but I don't,
Well, it's as high as this bird can fly.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's the subject matter for today. So actually, I'm going to end this, but we're going to do some bhajans now because we skipped that so Parth could get ready to